and welcome to another episode of One Pittsfield with Mayor Marchetti. In just a few moments, I'll be joined by the city's Building Maintenance Director, Brian Filio, but first, as we usually do, I want to share some updates. Over the past couple weeks, I've hosted several meetings and attended several community events that I want to quickly recap. First, I joined the members of the Pittsfield Economic Revitalization Corporation and 3 local entrepreneurs who were recipients of the PERK grants to learn more about their successes, their challenges, and areas where they think PERK and the city could do a better job. Although I missed the meeting, the school committee selected an interim superintendent, and we're in the process of negotiating a contract with that individual as is ongoing. I attended the Massachusetts Mayors Association annual spring conference, where I was joined by about 30 mayors from across the Commonwealth. We had sessions from Wednesday afternoon through Friday at noon, and some of them were on topics of how to contain your messaging, how to interact with the public, and then some budgeting type things to help us along. My office joined Downtown Pittsfield Inc. for their annual meeting. DPI reflected on their year's worth of accomplishments, and they awarded Hot Plate Brewing Company with the Community Award and Julie Kopolis with the Robert Quattrochi Person of the Year Award. I'm sorry to have missed that, but that was at the same time as the Mayor's annual spring conference. We held the quarterly conversation at the Senior Center, where we spoke about the budget submission that I just submitted to the City Council. We spoke to them about the camping ordinance and got their opinions about what they thought the camping ordinance did. We talked about all of the road construction that we were doing or happening, and we even had a chuckle when I said, I just don't know. We complained about all the potholes in the spring, and geez, Mayor, we can't really travel along. And now everyone's complaining about all the construction that's happening and all the detours. So I don't know, is it better to have potholes, or is it better to have construction happening in your community? And we all kind of got a chuckle out of that one. We were also joined by some members of the team of the district attorney and the sheriff's department, where they provided a presentation on scams and focused on how we could protect seniors from some of these scams. Last week, we began the budget deliberations, and we have 2 more meetings on the budget so far. All of the individual department budgets have passed, and we still have some of the bigger departments left to bring forward, and that is Public Works, Public Services, Police, Fire, Building Maintenance, and the interestingly titled Department Unclassified. And that's where a lot of our insurance costs, our retirement costs sit in that. So there's still much budget time left to be had. Depending upon weather, there are quite a few events happening this past weekend. And so I'm going to tell you that I'm attending these, but obviously if they get rained out, I didn't attend. But Westside Legends is holding a block party or having a block party that I plan to attend. And on Monday, the annual Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony at Pittsfield Cemetery will take place. Also, over the weekend on Saturday, I've been invited to a ribbon cutting at K&M Bowling. They're having a grand opening for their new mini golf course that is located just behind their bowling center. As I do at every show that we have, just a reminder that if you're a business or organization has a special milestone or other exciting news, please send an email to my office, Mayor's office, at cityofpittsfield.org with the details, as we'd like to recognize you as part of this ongoing program. Now let's jump into the City Council agenda for May 27th. We have submitted several items, including some appointments. And so Angelica Matos, Shane Steinman, and Ezekiel Stone have been appointed police officers within the Pittsfield Police Department. And if you remember along the way, maybe a month or so ago, we brought forth some changes to the Animal Control Commission, and part of that was to create an animal hearing authority. And we have appointed Patrick McLaughlin and John Perrault to those that animal hearing authority. The chair of the Animal Control Commission is the third body to that person. Finally, we have received good news, from the Corporation for National Community Services regarding our RSVP program, and we have been authorized our $50,000 appropriation. And we had been concerned with changes that were happening at the federal government that we may not be getting that award, and we've been notified that we have received that award. We're receiving a grant of $23,900 from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. This funding will be used towards a study led by the Community Development Office in partnership with Roots Rising and Berkshire Bounty for a citywide food system study. We'll have a presentation from Downtown Pittsfield, Inc., providing the City Council with their annual review of the 2024 work and the 2025 work that they still have ahead. Other items, we have a request to grant a conservation restriction to Berkshire Natural Resources Council, Inc. for property located off of Barker Road and Gamble Ave. I'm assuming the council will take that up on Tuesday night, but they may refer it to a committee. A couple of reports coming back from committee. Report from O&R with a favorable recommendation on the proposed ordinance creating licensing and registration process for the operation of short-term rentals here within the city of Pittsfield. Report from the Community and Economic Development to submit the city's community development block grant program 5-year consolidated plan and the annual action plan for 2025 program year to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And lastly, a request that's coming back from the Committee of the Whole with a recommendation to approve the request to transfer and appropriate $1 million from overlay surplus to a capital account for improvements at Old Town Hall. And we kind of talked briefly about this at the committee meeting. We are doing everything in our power to find surplus monies that we have within the city, whether it be free cash, the overlay surplus. Last year we used money from the Public Works Stabilization Fund to be able to fund things instead of going out and borrowing, and to be able to fund things with existing cash that we have saves us in debt service for many years to come. And so that's kind of been a focus of mine, to find ways to bring projects forward without having to necessarily borrow to be able to do those. So that's a kind of a recap of where we are for the upcoming city council meeting and where we've been for the last couple of weeks. So now we can turn the conversation with Brian. Brian, before we get into what your role entails, we've asked, like most department heads, to just take a moment to introduce yourself and talk to the folks about your journey to becoming the Director of Building Maintenance.
Yes, I'm Brian Filio, Director of Building Maintenance. I have over 40 years experience in commercial, residential, and industrial. I came to work for the city as a carpenter, and I held that position for about a year. A position opened up as assistant director, which I did that position for about a year, maybe a little bit longer. And to my present position as Director of Building Maintenance for the last 8 years. It's been a great journey. It's a great organization. And all I can say is that it's a good group of people that I work with.
So let's talk about what your responsibilities are as building maintenance director. I think many folks probably have no idea the variety of projects that you do.
Yeah, in this position, I'm actually in charge of every building, facility, structure that the city owns. And that includes the fire departments, police departments, library, schools, anything that has a city label on it, I'm in charge of. And that is for safety, the maintenance of the buildings, camera security, anything that's involved in these buildings comes through my office.
This is totally off script, but when we were at the senior center the other day, we talked about the ghost that resides in the mayor's office who turns on the light and the fan. As director of maintenance, do you think you can get the ghost to stop doing the things that the ghost does?
I actually don't hold that license.
Okay. I came in this morning and the fan was blowing at full speed and the papers were all over the floor. And I know it was off when I left. And I thought it was me, but one of the members that were at the senior center who formerly worked in this office said, "Oh no, that was happening when I worked in the mayor's office." So now everyone knows we have
I will look
the
into
ghost
it.
in the mayor's office that's here. So let's talk about some of the projects that your department is currently working on and what's going to keep your department busy through the summer and fall.
Yes, we have a variety of projects going on. We're finishing up E2 on Somerset Fire Station. That received new windows, a new kitchen, and it's scheduled to have mini splits installed in it next. We also are doing another project, which is E6 on Holmes Road Fire Station. That was getting windows, kitchen. That one's going to get a new roof and mini splits in there as well. One of the other big projects we have is Old Town Hall, which is going to be renovated, obviously, for the police department to move into because they need the additional space. We're also working on upgradings in schools. We're upgrading sprinklers. We're upgrading some ventilation control systems at Williams, it'll be a gradual project. We'll be doing that over time, but that's another project that needs to be done, which we're undertaking. Like I say, most of the other stuff is just a general maintenance that we're doing, but schools, there's a lot going on. We just finished the large project with the boilers at Pittsfield High School. Prior to that, we did a major upgrade in the control system for ventilation and heating. The two came together in a perfect marriage. Systems are running very, very well. It is absolutely a beautiful project. The school needed it, it got it, and we're going to be good for a long time with that building.
Well, I was happy the day that you took me there to kind of see the experience in it, and it was almost like walking into a 1930s movie.
Yes.
With the old boilers being really kind of sawed up.
Yep.
And taking out of the building. So that was kind of an interesting. And then roughly how many roofs per year are we doing with schools? Is it one a year?
Schools we're doing one a year because they're large projects, and it takes a lot of my time up, and there's a lot involved with them, and the cost obviously. But we're doing a school a year for roofs. Boilers, we're doing multiple schools this year. Right now, presently, I didn't actually mention that Conti is in the process of having all their boilers replaced, and we're upgrading the hot water system. So the previous system, the boilers actually had to run to heat the hot water, which was highly inefficient. So this new system we're putting in will be the hot water system will be independent. The boilers will be off during the summer, so there won't be that waste of utilities there. We're shortly going to start with projects in some of the other schools where we replaced one boiler at a time. We're going to fall back probably within the next month or so and start trying to get some design done where we can probably pick up a couple of more schools. But the idea behind it is every year to do at least 2 or 3 schools worth of boilers and at least one roof a year. And we're also going to, like I mentioned earlier, was the other roof we're going to do was E6 fire station because it's at the end of its lifespan and it needs to be done.
So I mentioned earlier in the show we're in the middle of budget season. And during the budget process, we took a really small attempt at raising some of the monies for maintenance. And, we talk as a community all the time about all the deferred maintenance that we have in the city. And so we took a stab at adding $100,000 to the school maintenance budget, which many people may not recognize the fact that you oversee that as well. Let's just talk about what that $100,000 may be able to do for us.
Well, actually, at Pittsfield High School, again, part of that money will go towards the blower decks that are in there for the univent systems. We're replacing those with a modern version, which will be a direct drive. We actually manufacture them in our own shop, and we're replacing them with a direct drive system versus the old style belt drive, which are really quite loud in the classrooms. That's one of the complaints that we seem to get a lot of. So over time, we're going to use that funds to obviously address those so they'll be more efficient, quieter, and there's no real maintenance to be done on them. The belt systems will be gone from there. We're also looking at upgrading some of our alarm systems in the buildings, whether it be virtue of a fire alarm system. I mean, smoke detectors, right? I mean, we have in our own home. They have a 10-year lifespan. We're approaching a lot of these, and we're starting to replace them as we can. But once again, a lot of that money will go to the upgrades for, obviously, ventilation's a big item. We just recently made a purchase on multiple ventilation systems for Pittsfield High School. So we're going to look to try to get some of those projects off the ground as well. It's just a lot of old equipment that's past its lifespan. We have done a lot of upgrades on things through the years to keep them alive. I mean, when you go back to Pittsfield High School with the boiler system, those locomotives, they're almost 100 years old. And we've replaced a lot of parts in them. We've rebuilt them over time to keep them alive, but the shell of it, the walls are getting too thin, and it was time. So, but that money, yes, we'll be using it to upgrade in the schools, necessities.
So we've kind of had this conversation a little bit, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to sell the department. When people think about employment opportunities within the city of Pittsfield, I don't think that they realize that there are many opportunities for folks with experience in the trades to find employment within the city of Pittsfield. And so what are some of the benefits of working with the city in these fields versus the private sector?
Well, there's a lot, actually. It's a very, very great working environment. The benefits that are here, I mean, you get all these holidays, you build up vacation time, you have a retirement system, you have a health insurance that's all in the package with it. You're provided with a vehicle, you're provided with all the tools that you need other than basic hand tools. There's allotments that are paid out to the tradesmen for boot allowances and that kind of stuff. They have uniforms. It's just a great working environment, and it's a nice team effort, because when you need an electrician and you're a carpenter, you make a phone call, they come help you. You need a plumber needs a carpenter. Whatever the case is, they worked amongst themselves as a team, but all the trades are properly licensed for this, and that's the difference.
So your department either currently has some openings, or we know in the very near future, we have some retirements that are coming up. So what are some of those positions that we're either looking to hire now or will be shortly?
Yeah, we have, in the electrical end, we have an open position right now. By the end of the year, we'll have another one because we have a retirement coming up.
And when you say end of the year, June 30th or December 31st?
I would say it's probably January. Okay. That position will be open. So there'll be two positions at that time unless we fill one. We have an HVAC position that's open. We have a carpenter position that's going to come open again at the beginning of next year, another retiree that's going to be on there. They're, like I said, these are positions that people wouldn't even believe how nice of a job this really is. It's a great working environment. I can't say enough.
And what are the requirements for some of these positions in regards to licensing or experience? Yeah,
every tradesman carries their own particular license for their trade. They have to be licensed. We pay for their licenses for renewals. We pay for any classes that they have to take to renew these licenses. Throughout the year, we do classes periodically for all the tradesmen that are required, continuing education, or just general knowledge, something that changed in the trades, something that might be related to an OSHA item. We're always in training for that. There is basically to keep our workforce at the top as it can be.
If folks are interested in these positions, they can go to the City of Pittsfield website, employment opportunities, and all of those positions are listed there. And there's an online process to apply. And I would encourage folks, whether you're in the beginning of your career or maybe looking to close out your career, to give a look to some of the positions within both the building maintenance department, but other positions that are held within City Hall. So is there anything else that you want to highlight from the department, a special project that we have done, are currently doing, or one that will be coming up in the future?
Well, I would go back to Pittsfield High School, which was a project that was just completed. That project was a major undertaking. We had an external furnace that was running the building while there was no furnace inside. All three of the boilers were disassembled. We were coming into winter, and it was quite a interesting project, and it was very well orchestrated, and the plumbing contractor was excellent to deal with, and the school department was wonderful to deal with. It was a great situation, but there is an example of what the city can do. We have the capabilities to manage these projects, we have the abilities to come in on budget, and we have the abilities to complete these in a timely fashion. Once again, all departments work together, and anybody that's interested in coming to the city, the opportunities for growth. I mean, if you come to any department and you work in the city, you have first dibs on an open position if you qualify for that position. And I mean by if you have the licenses or whatever may be required for that position. Just the growth is unbelievable. There's openings, there's places to go, and no matter what department you go in, you're going to feel like you worked with these people for 30 years. It's just the facts.
So I think one of our projects going forward will be to look at the number of buildings that we have and to really determine, do we need all these buildings, right? Every building that the city owns does two things. One, it costs us money to keep the lights on and the
maintenance
to these buildings, and two, we're not receiving tax revenue from the city of Pittsfield. And so as we go forward, I think there are a number of projects, and we've kind of talked about Hibbert School becoming a potential housing project. And with everything that you try to do, nothing is as simple as you think it may be, because Hibbert School, although mostly vacant, provides a dry storage for the Pittsfield Public Schools. So we need to kind of find some new space for that. But my goal over the next couple of years is to find a path where the city doesn't need to lease any additional space and bring all those into buildings. And so, together, and I think when I was council president, I tasked you with giving me a list of all of the buildings and what the conditions were, and really what we need to do to improve them. And I think that we need to take a really strong look at where we are today based on the information that we know, and really do some assessments as to, is this building something that the city can maintain long term, or do we have the opportunity to turn it over to housing? And we know that housing is a major issue within our community, and we are continuing at looking at doing those. And unfortunately, as much as I'd like to be able to go, geez, I just built 50 new units, that process is years in the making. And we can see 112 new units of housing coming on board in the city in the next 6 to 9 months. But we've been working on those for 3 to 5 years. And so some longer term planning to kind of get these projects in the queue. So we are almost out of time. Anything else that you want to highlight from within the department?
Once again, I mean, if you're seeking an opportunity, like the mayor said, if you're up there in age and you obviously have the skill set, and you want to come to work, it's a great organization. If you're a young person that wants to start, the career is the path you want to take. You can work here. You'll have a decent retirement at the end. Like I said, it's a great environment to work here.
Well, Brian, we have basically reached the end of our half hour, so I want to thank you for joining me today. I think you wrap up the last department head in the series of trying to introduce the department heads to the community, and so we will focus over the next 2 weeks of what the next concepts that we want to bring forward to the folks at home so that they understand. So for now, thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you on the next episode.